Hi guys, Natalie here from Woven Wraps Australia. I'm just going to wait a few minutes till some people jump on in. For tonight's session, we're going to be doing a live ring sling demo. So hopefully you will be able to jump on in with your ring sling. If you've got your baby still awake, hopefully my baby will be do the right thing. He's not here, he's just in the other room with my mother-in-law, so hopefully I won't get a text to say I need to jump off. Anyway, so tonight's demo is ring slings, tips and tricks for being comfortable. So in the last few days, we've sent stacks of new ring slings out to people all over Australia. I love a ring sling. I spoke about this earlier today and last night. I love the versatility of a ring sling, how quick it is to get your baby or your preschooler or your toddler up. I love the fact that ring slings fold up to be so small. I've got a few here. All right, they fold up to next to nothing. Oh, we've got a comment. Hi Renee, yay, your kids are actually asleep. So if you are watching, if you could just hit the like button, that would be awesome. I can see I've got 2 people so far. That would be great, just so I know who I'm talking to. I want to preface by saying if you've got any questions, please, I want this to be as interactive as it can be on a live, so please feel free to ask any questions that you have or clarify anything that I say. If I'm going too fast, I'm going to slow down. If I'm going too slow, I'll keep going slow. I think that's a really big part of it. I think often when we break down a skill set, like learning to use a ring sling, it can actually be the difference between wearing comfortably and being, okie dokie. So if at this point, up until this point, you've been trying to use a ring sling and you haven't really found that sort of sweet spot, hopefully me breaking it right down into tiny small steps, you should be able to find out where you're going wrong or maybe just approach it with fresh eyes. So that was my hope for tonight. So yeah, please feel free to write comments in, ask questions, be interactive, or else you can watch it later as well. That's not an issue. So I want to start by saying that generally there's only really 2 or 3, but we're just going to work with the number 2 tonight, shoulder types on a ring sling. So a ring sling is just essentially a woven wrap, the same width as a woven wrap is, with a pair of rings sewn into the end to create this shoulder and an open tail. All right, so for sake of the arguments, there's some combination of 2 shoulder types, but we're just going to speak 2 shoulder types tonight. There's a pleat. Okay, this is an Osher pleated shoulder. And there's also, which I would say these days is more commonly found, a gathered shoulder. So if you have a little frog woven wrap, a little frog ring sling, then you have a gathered shoulder. Okay, so you can see that gather can actually fan all the way to there. So it has that ability to spread over your shoulder, whereas a pleated ring sling is narrower. The surface area is narrower. So it's like anything really. What do people prefer? It really comes down to preference. I use both. I like a pleat, but then I like this sling because it's really broken in. It's like a second skin for me. I love a gathered ring sling because we can flip the shoulder. We're going to talk about that tonight. So for the sake of tonight, I'm going to use the gathered because many of you do have a little frog or other brands that actually have the gather. Okay, now just excuse me for referring to my phone. I've written a list of things to prompt me because I'm a really good talker and I can get off topic really quickly. So what I want you to do is, if you're watching tonight and you have a ring sling, I want you to have a look at the shoulder, and I'd love for you just to comment below if your shoulder is a gathered shoulder like this one or a pleated shoulder. That will help me know who's watching and who needs what. All right, so pleat, gather. Okay. Alrighty. Now, that brings me to the very first, you hear this a lot. Now, if you're new to woven wraps or to ring slings, it's the old argument to flip the shoulder or to keep the shoulder as it is. And let me explain. So let me backtrack. I'm using a gathered ring sling today. And all we do is we can see that I've opened it up. My tail is here. And really, there's no right way, but I can see that the stitching here, the hem is here. So I'm going to be placing that on my shoulder. Now, when I carry a baby or I pick up a small child, I like to carry them on my right hip. Now, we're in mirror image, so this is my right hip. So if I was to pick up a child or a baby and I was to place them on my hip, that's the hip that I would prefer. So that's where, or that's the side where my ring sling is going to sit and my rings are going to be on the opposite side. So if you're watching along right now, I just want you to work out which side feels more comfortable. Okay, what do you naturally do? Now I'm right-handed. I don't know if it's got any correlation. I write with my right hand. Who knows? And I like to have my baby on that side. So that means I'm going to have my baby on my right hip and my rings on the opposite. So with a ring sling, there's a little bit of skill to threading the sling. I'll break it right down. If you can get the position of the sling correct and it's comfortable, then the least amount of adjusting with your baby is really ideal. Okay, so prepare the sling well and you'll be able to then hopefully adjust it well for comfort. Let me just check these comments. Great. Renee is saying that she's got a gathered shoulder. Cheryl is saying that she has a pleated shoulder, but she really wants to get a gathered too. Okay, that's great. So that's really helpful for me to know. So let me just show you. So as I said, I'm going to start with the rings sitting on, now it's quite funny because I'm mirror image to you, but I'm going to wear my baby on this side and my rings are going to go on this side. So all I'm doing is I'm just going to put my rings up on my shoulder like that. Now, if you can see that this top rail here, just like when we do front wrap cross carry and we have a top rail, it's exactly the same. We have a top rail and we have a bottom rail. Now, this top rail here is this dark graphite color, like a gray. And you can see that all I'm doing is I'm just matching that up. Now, I was talking about flipping the shoulder. With a gathered ring sling, when I talk about flipping the shoulder, all I'm talking about is taking this top rail and intentionally swapping it around with the bottom rail so that these are different. And you can see all of a sudden I have an intentional flip. Now, I've had plenty of people walk up to me and say, hey, there's a twist in your sling. And I'm like, yep, it's meant to be there. I like to flip. Now, why do I flip? Let me preface by saying we only ever flip on a gathered shoulder. If you have a pleated shoulder, if you flip the ring sling, nothing bad's going to happen. It just, in my experience, it can obscure the way that the shoulder sits. So gathered ring sling, you can flip. Now, you don't have to flip. If you haven't been flipping and you're all happy, happy days. Why do I flip? Okay, 2 reasons why I flip. If you've just joined, let me show you again. Top rail, top rail. I'm going to intentionally take my top rail and make it my bottom rail, and my bottom rail becomes my top rail, and I'm just shaking that out. There's 2 reasons why I flip. 1, when I flip my ring sling, all of a sudden the surface area of my back becomes much greater. I've got a much better range of movement. Once this is all adjusted and my baby's in, I can move. Whereas if I'm back like this, whoop, and I haven't flipped the sling, I have all this fabric covering my back, which is fine and nice and supportive, but it can make range of movement a little restricted. The second reason that I flip my sling is it actually creates the seat at the front here. This is the seat where the baby sits. It actually makes the seat feel deeper. So it's a deeper seat. So I can sit my baby in the carrier and it actually creates a deeper seat. So they're the 2 reasons why I flip. So if you've just joined me, rings on my opposite shoulder. Now I've just confused it because I had that as the top rail. So let me go back to that. I'm going to flip this intentionally and I'm just going to shake it out. So I'm at this point. So my rings, I'm going to try and not wear my rings down really low. Okay, I'm breastfeeding. I don't want them touching my breasts, getting in the way, causing mastitis. I don't want them near the baby's head. I also don't want my rings up really high up here, sitting on the top of my shoulder, because that means that all that lovely fabric's not going to support my shoulder. So we want it in about that sort of that corsage position. Okay, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to gather this fabric up, and I'm maintaining this as the top rail. Remember I said I flipped it and they're opposite colours. I'm keeping that as the top rail, and my bottom rail is that opposite colour, remember? And you can see there's my twist. Okay. That's my husband calling. Better just turn it off. Haha. Alrighty. So I've gathered it up. Gather, 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 gather. All I'm going to do is I'm going to open the rings up. I'm going to pass it through the rings. Okay? And then I'm opening my rings, and it's like one of those belts that you used to wear. If you were born in the 80s like I was, I used to own belts like this when I was 10. They just open like that. Now, I'm just going to grab the tip of the tail. Rather than trying to pass all this fabric, it's all going to pass through, just grab this here, and I'm going to pass it through this front ring. Now, you can see I haven't tightened it off. All I'm going to do now is I'm just going to organise my fabric. So did you see what I did there? I'm just trying to ensure that this top rail and this top rail are matching. Okay. Now you're probably thinking, oh, Natalie, this is forever. I can't do this. Yeah, you can. It'll take a matter of a few minutes. Now, I've got it all fanned out like that. So this is where my baby's going to sit. And you can see that that's the bottom rail. And that's the top rail. Okay. Tip number 455. I don't know. 2, 3. I just want an elbows amount. Sometimes when you're first starting off, you'll make it really, really long, which is fine. And you could probably, put your best friend on your hip. But for the sake of tonight, you only really need this much, because then you want to be able to adjust it minimally. All right, so I'm at this point. Good, done. So let's talk newborns. Alrighty, so I have my newborn baby, and I can wear my newborn baby right from day dot in the ring sling. My biggest tip is to say to you, there's a lot of misinformation out there. You only have to Google ring slings. You'll see babies laying down in ring slings. You'll see them down like this, down like handbags. That's just not optimal, okay? It's not safe. It's just not safe. It's not that it's not optimal, it's actually not safe. So we run the risk of chin to chest. You always wear your baby upright, close enough to kiss, supported from knee to knee in a sling. Sometimes you'll see a high cradle carry. People will say to me, I want to wear my baby, I want to breastfeed in the carrier. What I always say is that baby wearing and breastfeeding are separate skills. You learn them independently. Fair enough, if you're wearing your baby upright, take them out of the carrier or lower them and sit down and breastfeed your baby. But always, when you're finished, return them to the upright position. That's really crucial, okay? So I know it can be like Superwoman wanting to, achieve everything. But ultimately, in those early days, it's so important that you get both those skills happening. So my baby's going to be upright, and I'm always going to wear my newborn in the middle. Now, there's a line of thinking that says, and you cannot have done this, if you do, for whatever reason, want to wear your baby on your hip, your newborn baby, then I would say that you need to wear them up high on this area here where there's the least amount of surface space where they can actually sit. touching you. But it's much more comfortable, personally, I find, tummy to tummy. If we're talking about an older baby, look, you'll find it just depends. Some of you might have 3, 4, 5-month-old babies that prefer to be on the hip. For those early days, tummy to tummy. All right, so we're at this point. I've adjusted my sling. It's all looking good. Now it's time for me to take my baby and to sit them into the sling. So, something that's often spoken about, I think it's probably it along with another, there's 2 things that I'd say. It's the 2 issues that I see with ring slings the most are the rings shifting and the bottom rail being popped. Let's talk about the rings shifting. At this point, we take our baby, and as if you were just going to burp your baby, pop them over the shoulder that's opposite to the rings here. Okay, and all I'm doing is I'm just going to very gently pop my hand under. I don't want to, now this is a doll. I'm not going to bend their legs. We don't want to do that. Okay, newborn babies, you know, let's be kind. We just want to be gently lowering them into the sling. Now, I see people do this all the time. They go and they start to lower them in. Don't do that. Just lower your baby. Get them to where you want them to be. Now, as you can see, I haven't actually done anything with this top rail yet. Now, my rings are really low. There you go. My rings have just come down. This is what we need to do. I need to sit my baby on this pass. Okay, in front wrap cross carry, there's a center pass. You sit your baby on the pass, and then you start to adjust your top tails. It's exactly the same concept. Sit your baby on the pass. Now, your rings will always move at this point. My rings, this way, they're really low. So now I need to shift my rings back where I want them to be. So I'm going to hold my baby, and I'm not going to pull my rings up. I'm going to take this pass and I'm just going to pull it out that way. Hey, did you see what I just did? All of a sudden, my rings are where they need to be. My baby is waiting. Now, my baby's only little, but they're waiting that pass. And all of a sudden, I can see where I want to end up. So hopefully, if you've pulled that pass up, like I said, we're going to now start to bring this top rail. Now, this top rail is coming from under your arm. If I turn this way, my rings are here. I'm pulling this top rail over. Now, as I do that, I can feel it getting really tight. I'm bringing up over my baby to about 2 fingers above the ears, just like in a woven wrap. Now, I'm not hands-free yet, okay, obviously, and I'm not letting go of my baby. So I've just pulled that across. Now, a floppy sling, okay, it's not safe, it's not comfy, and it doesn't feel right. And you know, you pop a carrier on and you think, nah, it's just not feeling right. If it's not hands-free, if you feel like you can't be hands-free, then most likely it's not right. Now, I'm not hands-free. I can't be hands-free in this point. So now I've just pulled this top rail across to the rings. Now, I see lots of people trying to adjust their sling and they go to pull down. We want to pull across horizontally from the direction from where this pass came. This is a horizontal pass. We want to take this and we want to very carefully now, look here, let me show you something. Fabric getting caught in the rings. This is another issue. Although I did have that organized before, I'm just going to go and ensure that when I start to pull this across, now, I'm being really super careful that my baby is not going to have their hands or their head or their ears caught in the sling, sorry, in the rings. Now, I will say that I have actually caught a toddler's fingers in the rings before, more than once. Ugh. But look, they actually just pinch. They can't actually break it, okay, the way that they're constructed. But be careful. It's not nice to hurt your baby. It doesn't feel nice. All right, so we're just going to, I'm pulling across this direction. Now, I always adjust from the top down. So I've adjusted this, and we can see it here. It's hard to see with those cups, but you can see it's all bunched there. So now I'm going to move to this next section. It's hard to see on the computer, but there's like a different coloured grey. Now, instead of me pulling down, I'm going to pull across, and then I'm going to show you what happens here. Now, we want this going nice and smooth, so I'm all I'm doing is I'm pulling across. And as I do that, this is starting to tighten up here. And then I'm going to pull into the next colour across. And as you can see, the black, that's the bottom rail. Have a look. Oh, I'm going to have to. Now, all I've done is I've gone to the back. I'm finding that bottom rail and I'm just passing it up under their legs. Now, don't stress too much about it having to go all the way up. Now, this is a doll, but unfortunately, a newborn's legs will be a bit floppy like that too, so you just have to be careful you don't get them going the wrong way. I'm just pulling that under, and then I'm just, here's this bottom rail, just sitting it up underneath, and this loose bit here still needs adjusting. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to pull. Now, at this point, I am fairly hands-free, but I do need some tweaking to happen. But look, my baby's up. Now, I spoke before about rings moving. Now, my rings have not moved. My rings are great. They feel good. They're not in the way of my breast. They're not annoying. They're not down low, sitting here next to the baby because I've weighted down because I sat them on the pass. Now, leg straightening. Let's talk about leg straightening. This is another issue that we find. Leg straightening happens when we think we have to. Now, look, leg straightening happens because we have an active baby. Okay, they're trying to wait there. Maybe, look, it's different for all babies. 4 or 5 months, they start to realise that they can use their legs to gain momentum and they start to straighten at the knees, and then all of a sudden we find our bottom rail is popping. Now, how can you help to combat that? You can ensure that your bottom rail is not too tight, okay? We think, oh, my baby's in a sling, I have to make it so, so tight that you keep tightening, you tighten, you tighten, you tighten, you tighten, and then all of a sudden, you've actually not left enough slack in the bottom rail and you actually pop the seat. Now, you're there. Your baby's not going anywhere, but that's a good indication that there is not enough slack in the bottom rail. So you actually need to allow enough slack in the bottom rail for your baby to sit. Without that, so I can just let off the bottom here, without it being so tight that they can pop that. All right, so, okay, cool. Just looking to see. All right, so at this point, I'm hands-free. I've got this tail here. The next thing I wanted to talk about was positioning on the shoulder. A few people complain about the actual top rail digging into their neck. So I'll show you what that looks like. So that's sort of up here. And you can see that this isn't really cupping my shoulder. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to lift this up. Now, a good way of doing it is just to spread it that way. And you want to actually put that, your shoulder in the center. That's heaps better. Now, I have got restricted movement there, okay? I always joke that my ring slings are not really my hanging washing carriers. But look, if I need them to be, I can actually pull that up. But there we go. So I'm making sure I've pulled this away from my shoulder. It's still supporting. All right. So we want a sling that's going to support our baby's back. We don't want lots of space in the back of the sling. It needs to support the baby from knee to knee. Now that knee has been mucking up a little there. Now obviously your baby, if they're a newborn, their spread squat's very small. And as they get bigger, they open their legs more. A word of warning for a onesie. I live where it's cold and we wear onesies lots. But onesies are great for keeping babies warm, but they make it hard for babies to have that decent spread squat where you have their knees higher than their bottom. Okay? So if you can find onesies that have got feet out and you can pop some socks on, that will actually surprisingly give you so much more range of movement. If you pop those knees up there, you can see that like that. Yeah. some people like to take the tail and be really fancy, and they can like pass it back through the rings, make it look all pretty. And this is actually really good if you've got a baby that wants to play with the rings, and it actually just covers them up. I don't even know what I did then. But you can see that I've actually covered the rings, so they're not going to be banging their head. It's really important that you don't try and turn their head. They will probably naturally want to go sort of towards the center. Just watch that, you know, nothing's obstructing their breathing. You want to make sure there's 2 fingers below their chin, so that they've got that free range of movement. Alrighty, so how can I improve? Well, if I wanted to be really picky, I could pull this up a little here. That's me with a flip. And then I can just pass that up, and any extra slack can just be tightened through the rings. Ring sling's really, really great for traveling. If you're sitting in a tiny confined space on a plane, it's time to get off the plane, adjust your baby in the ring sling. You don't need to have your arms everywhere. Really, really good if you're running in and out of shops. If you've got multiple ages, baby, newborn, maybe if you've got a pram and you've got one in the pram and one on you, and you can do the swap. Ring sling's really great for that. So let me just check my list. I'll see what else I've forgotten. Let me see. Now might be a good time if you've got any questions. I will have a little peek at questions. Right, so I've spoken about flipping the shoulder, spoken about gathered and pleated, the rings moving down. Okay, we talked about sitting the baby on the pass and then adjusting the pass up and bringing those rings up to where we want them to end up. We've spoken about tightening through the horizontal pass all the way down from the top to the bottom. Support from knee to knee. Spoke about leg straightening. Okay, not making the bottom rail too tight, leaving a little bit of slack in there to ensure that the baby actually sits into the sling. What else? Yes, the pass digging into the shoulder. Okay, so sometimes it's just a matter of someone else looking at you and going, I can see that you would be more comfy if you pulled some fabric down over your shoulder. Now, I'm hands-free. If I'm going to bend down, I need to squat. I know it hurts, well, it hurts me, but squat, okay? It's not a bad thing. Don't try and bend forward. Now, to get your baby out of the sling, just like you would with a front wrap cross carry, if you're not familiar, I say don't try and pull your baby out of the sling, okay? You just want to keep your baby in the sling, and all you need to do is just to loosen off this top rail. That's at the top there. I'm just going to lift those rings, and then all I'm doing is I'm just passing this pass over my baby's head. And then there we are. So that is a newborn. If you are going to, so are there any questions? Let me have a look. No. Okay, so hopefully if you've got any questions, you can pop them in. I'm just going to quickly show you with a bigger baby. So if you're just joining us, I'm actually just going to thread it in front of you. I'm not going to speak. Lucky you. And then I'm going to take my bigger baby, Big Demo doll. All right, done. Now, I think I mentioned this before. Don't tighten this initially. You need to be able to put your baby in, position them, and then tighten it up. Okay, so big baby. this is a baby, as you can see. This is a tall baby. All right, it's hard to have a tall baby right in front of you. It obstructs your line of vision, and most likely they will fuss and not want to be there. So you just want to position your baby on your hip. All right, so I think ring slings are most well known for being a hip carrier. So all I'm going to do is sit this baby on my hip. And this is the point where if you've just joined, the rings are going to slide right down. And you're going to go, oh, I've done it again. No, you haven't. This is crucial. Sit your baby on the pass, underneath their bottom. See, I'll show you. It's hard to see. Legs are out. Right. Now, remember what I said? We're going to take this here. I'm going to hold my baby, and I'm going to slide that fabric up. And I'm going to get those rings where I want them to end up. And then I'm going to adjust. So I'm getting that top rail and bringing it up over the back. Now, obviously, this is a bigger baby, and they do like to move. And so I like to put my bigger baby's arm that's under my arm in. So I'm pulling this really tight. And then I allow them to have this arm out so they can, you know, feel like they've got some independence, but not too much. Okay, floppy top rail. Oh, I'm getting banged in the face. Very realistic. Okay, remember we're not going to adjust down, we're going to go across horizontally, the same direction in which the pass comes. So, and I'm not going to go like bullet gate straight away, because if I do that, I run the risk of all this fabric getting caught, and then, you know, you're trying to calm your baby, they're screaming, and you're thinking, I just want you up now. This is very much an issue. Fingers out. Hi, Beck. Good to see you. All right, so I'm just adjusting that top. Same direction, remember? Horizontal pass, horizontal pass. Now I'm going to move to the next section. And if I just show you here, it's all mirror image, it's all loose here, so you can see that needs adjusting. So, all right, and then my bottom rail in this demo is the opposite colour. So I'm not going to go crazy. I'm just going to ensure that that's supported from knee to knee. And you can wear when you're pregnant. Now, I'm not pregnant, but I just brought back memories of having a toddler sitting there over my belly, okay? It's very doable. Many women wear their babies pregnant. Okay, supported from knee to knee. Oh, not quite. Let's adjust that. I've got a nice smooth back. I'm just going to do like a last tweak. Over, cross, across, cross, across. My toddler cannot go anywhere. They're getting very frustrated, but we can cross the road safely. Okay, so I'm going to get my baby out. Now, this is a walking baby. So I'm going to try and pull them all the way out of the sling and get hit in the head with feet. I'm going to be really clever. I'm going to lift, hold my baby. I'm going to lift those rings, and then hopefully you can see this. I don't know. You can see how dirty the floor is. I'm going to get down, and I'm actually going to allow my toddler to stand up. Okay, because then I'm not going to hurt my back. So then I can take this thing off over their head. There we are. All right, so, oh, hop off the floor. Okay, so hopefully that's really helpful. Now, what I will say is leave your sling, if you feel confident to do so, leave it threaded. So you can pop it on yourself, drive in the car, get to where you're going, get out of the car, and you've got it ready to go. Just remembering though that if you have flipped it like I have, that my top and my inner are different colours. Okay, I think that's all. Thanks guys, hopefully that's really helpful. If there's anything you need clarification on, please don't forget to ask in the comment. I'm always willing to help. I love slings. Ring slings are fabulous. Have a go in your own time. See how you go. Thanks, guys. See ya.